Hi, my loves. Jeray Milady Girl from around the way, where we have culture, conversation, and community. And I'm coming to you all with some commentary about the unfortunate attack that happened in New Orleans yesterday. Now, I hate to come with a bang, girl. I ain't even trying to say that be funny, but like, I wanted to really get into this because this is something that I feel like I don't know about you, but I just feel like it's not a lot of people talking about this. And I just feel like because it's me, I had to, girl. So we all know that the person who was involved with this is turned out to be a guy from Texas. I don't want to mess up his name, but he's going by the name of Jabbar, right? He's a 42-year-old, um, you know, colored man, black man, whatever. That's a black king. Um, and he was a part of an attack by way of ISIS. Now, I didn't really watch all of the information because I don't follow like mainstream media, right? And I suggest that you all don't either because it is very um it's not the real news, y'all. And so I can only go off of what I pieced together. We see that the guys were on the streets and they were saying that, we saw that there was people who said that there was reports of a barrier, and there were the town officials were saying that there were barriers. And so this is people who were on the street and that were there. Okay. And so the barriers were just things to put in place to, keep people from driving onto the road. They have it during the parades. They do it all of these, multiple times. But there's conflicting stories about people that were on the ground that were saying that they saw a barrier or they didn't see it, but the town officials did. And I don't believe that they were there. I don't believe that they were there because as a whole, as a country, we are so consumed with everything else but what's actually happening around us, y'all. Y'all think that Russia's over there fighting Ukraine ain't got nothing to do with you. You think Israel over there with them people in Gaza don't have nothing to do with you. Or it ain't got nothing to do with me, y'all. But when it comes tapping in on our doorstep, then it's, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this happened. You know what I mean? I can't believe this happened. I feel like as a whole, we just haven't been just aware of what's actually moving and grooving over in the Middle East. I want to really kind of talk to and get into the Afghan withdrawal because that's something that I remember really just being so impactful for me for some reason. Like, what in the world is going over there? We spent all this time, all these years over there in Afghanistan, and now finally we're out of the Middle East, which is something that, you know, we all wanted because we fought that war for a really long time. But I'm going to tie all of this in because these things are related, I feel. So, again, the guy who was the perpetrator of this terrible attack, born and raised in Texas. Unfortunately, 15 people are deceased, which is, insane, mass casualty. And officials are just calling it a horrific act of violence. It's interesting they're not using words like terrorism because that's essentially what it is. They had the Sugar Bowl that was supposed to take place, and they postponed it. Um, it was I think rescheduled for Thursday. They're doing bomb sweeps, and they're conducting all of these different type of like security operations to make sure that it's safe. Now, this is what terrorism looks like. Terrorism is supposed to keep you from doing everyday functioning, right? Because they want to impede and impose on your everyday quality of life. That is literally what terrorism is. So the fact that they keep saying it was this, this act of violence, this, egregious act of violence, girl, was a terrorist attack. The guy had an ISIS flag on his car, which he was driving an American Ford F-150, which I thought was, quite ironic. But anyway, I know y'all all heard the story. I don't want to get into all of the, the details of it. It was kind of really gruesome. I haven't watched any of the footage because I'm just squeamish and I don't like stuff like that. But y'all, this guy is born and raised in America. He was just recruited into ISIS, and I'm using recruited with air quotes, because I think that there's larger things at play here. We know that a lot of wars on the international level and scale are being like started by proxy, meaning they're going to send, it's like you really want to fight the girl in the corner, so you send your home girl to go pick on the big girl who's close to the small girl. The whole time you about to you about to beat the small girl up. You know what I'm saying? And so ISIS and the Taliban now have this relationship where they are operating, I want to say, alongside. And some people would disagree, most people would agree. And we all know that we are currently funding the Taliban. What I mean by we, I mean the American government. And so if the Taliban did have something to do with it, they are not going to claim it. They're going to just say, oh, it was ISIS. But it's like the Taliban is secretly linking up with ISIS because it's like big brother, little brother type of situation, because that's what they do. Do you really think that the Taliban has so much dedication and respect for America that they're not going to link up with ISIS? Come on, like, let's be for real. And the fact that first day in New Orleans, Bourbon Street, a guy crashes out, it's not a coincidence at all. And I think that we need to get into what's actually happening in the Middle East. This is where I want to get into the Afghan withdrawal. Do y'all remember when like American troops were leaving Afghanistan? Finally, I think Obama had made a promise to get us out of the war. And so many people were like trying to get into this jet, trying to get away from Afghanistan, because literally as soon as these American soldiers who were, trying to get this boy up to wherever they're about to take him, was going to be in the hands of the Taliban. And the American government knew full well that they had left a whole bunch of biometric data, meaning a list of people who interpreted, a list of people who helped, a list of people who maybe gave directions, friendly people, friendly Afghani people. And the Taliban were going to go and just kill them immediately. This is why we saw those people jumping on that plane like they were. I'm like, damn, they about to just jump to their death. That's because as soon as them tires lifted up off that ground, the Taliban was going to come and sweep them away anyway. Those people who were in the Middle East and helped American troops and soldiers are still being hunted to this day. And so when the Taliban was left in charge, those other groups felt like ISIS, like, okay, we can kind of breathe now since they're not here anymore. And so not only are our borders open and they can just easily get a passport and come over here, not only is it so, like, I don't want to say like we're desensitized. I just feel like our minds and our focus is just everywhere else. We don't really see the real threat of this. It's like, oh girl, ain't no plane crashing into no building, so we're fine. This is horrific, guys. This is I feel like, the beginning. And let me just say this right here. We are sending the Taliban millions of dollars as a part of our withdrawal. We are to help their government remain in place. And it's like, they were never to be trusted. They were never to be trusted. And so now the Taliban and ISIS have the symbiotic relationship, underhanded, but on in the international stage, it's like, oh, no. We're good. We're upholding our piece of the bargain. Why would they ever uphold any bargain with us? Why would they ever uphold any deal they meet with us? Be for real. And I find it really interesting that, like, not a lot of people are talking about this. I mean, I haven't heard Trump make a statement. Biden probably said, at least a few casualties. And it's almost given they don't want to call it what it is. But if you've been listening and you've been watching, you know that this is exactly what it was. And people are so disconnected to what's truly happening to think like, oh, this was a guy how was he recruited in ISIS? These people have, weaponry. These people have access. These people have money. These people have supporters. I'm talking, we getting their red money. You hear what I'm saying? And another interesting point I wanted to mention too is like, the police officers who came together for, in the state of Louisiana. Like, I think that it's cool that, in a time of need, we all come together. But like, it's time to fight the real enemies now, Buki. all this stopping and where's the weed and all that. It's time to fight the real enemies now, honey. Okay? Let's start really making and having precautions because these people ain't playing. And we funding it. And we are funding it. So I'm really curious to know, like, am I the only one that feels like nobody is just like, oh yeah, well, the guy, he just came along, this, that, and the third. There are so many people that are state actors who are just born and raised here, but are in the cult of ISIS and want to harm and want to hurt. And we think because it's not on a grand scale that it doesn't really matter. And I'm here to tell y'all, we gotta wake up from that stuff. Them big crowds, them big moments, and this, that, and the third with us extended in Israel, us extended in Gaza, us extended in all these different places. But we got a whole bunch of people brewing in our backyard. And America truly, like, you know, I think what I want to say, I'm not going to say here because YouTube don't be playing with me. But I want to know what y'all think. I want to know if y'all are picking up what I'm putting down. Let me know. Drop down in the comments. As always, I'm sending you much love and much light. And I will see y'all next video. Peace.